Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades, and welcome back. And what are we getting back into? We are getting into the Ultimatum, Marry or Move On season 3, and we are now on episode 1 of the split. All I'm gonna say is there's seriously something wrong with some of these people up in these programs. That's all I'm going to start off with. But before we get into this episode, as I always say, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so when you know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because you know what? I am on the road to 1k and I can continue to be on the road to 1k. Right, let's get into this video, this program, shall we? Or episode 1, I should just say. I was like, I'm always going to say that I always think when people have to make an ultimatum for the people that they've been with, for them to marry them or they will walk away, yeah, that means these people really well and truly don't want to marry your ass. Like, there's something that is holding them back from marrying you. At the end of the day, that's how I'm seeing it. Sometimes it can work for people, sometimes it won't. Forcing someone into a situation that they're not comfortable with is not great at the end of the day. And to be honest, these people ain't even been together that long. Like, none of them can say they've been together that long. Yes, they've been together for like 2 years, 3 years, but no one's been together for like, say, 5, 6 years. Then you kind of understand. Do you know what I mean? So for Mariah, that's the first person we see speaking up. It's basically she loves love, but that doesn't mean you have to get married at the end of the day to feel that love. It's an extension of probably the love that you already have in the relationship that you're with someone, but you both still need to be on the same page when it comes to marriage. Otherwise, is all I can say. Like, so basically Vanessa says that she wants to get married because she feels like she wants to be someone's dream woman. She wants to do it all. And I'm just like, from looking at the edits so far, yeah, and I know I shouldn't trust the edits, but looking at the bullshit that's happened so far, yeah, it looks like it's going to be one Larry ride for all of these people up in here, each of these couples up in here. This show, I think, yeah, shows the cracks in people's relationships and the fact that they don't really have any type of communication with each other at the end of the day. These people sit literally, I think this show takes off those rose-tinted glasses, yeah. People, I don't think, this is my humble opinion, really learn anything coming on these shows. Like, because you're essentially partner swapping without the ground rules, which never works at the end of the day. I don't know why these people don't try therapy instead. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, seriously does not make any sense to me. You can see that they're all attractive people. They are all attractive. And you know, as soon as they started walking into the room to get to the dinner table to talk about the situations that they have with each other, and you know, Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey was going to be there as well, they were each sizing each other up as who they wanted to get to know more. We all knew that was going to happen. You'd be very stupid if you didn't at the end of the day. So, I think it was Zaina who says that there's something special about a man who says, I want to marry you. And I'm just like, well, giving them an ultimatum ain't going to make that man or woman marry you no matter what the fucking outcome is at the end of the day. There's nothing special about giving an ultimatum to someone, is what I'm saying. So Vanessa says, basically, this is Vanessa Lachey, basically turns around and makes the comment, it's natural to wonder if there is someone else out there who is better for you. I'm like, well, what? Or what about they're just not ready to get married? Or they just don't think about marriage at all? I just think, yeah, these types of shows for me are there to break up relationships. I think these types of shows already show the cracks that are within the relationship, but it just makes it that much bigger and that much brighter to them, like a neon freaking light, to say we are not working at the end of the day. It also gives some of these people free rein to cheat, as no matter what you say, yeah, these people are not your exes. I don't care if it's just for a show. You've been with that person for 3 freaking years, yeah, you come on a show to give him an ultimatum to marry you. Then this show turns around and says, you will spend one night with the person that you came with. Bearing in mind, you've loved this person for 3 whole freaking years, yeah? 3 whole freaking years. Then to say, you will then become exes and you will start dating other people. But these people that you've been with for 3 years, nah, man, couldn't fly. Because I'm like, you literally gonna let go of the way that you felt about this person for 3 years in order for a dilly-dalliance for someone else for 3 freaking weeks? Are you mad? Are you mad? And then you literally trying to turn around and say that's not my ex. That's still my man. That's still my woman. That's still, that's not my ex. And you expect people to let go of these feelings? No. For me, it just shows that these people don't know how to communicate healthily with each other. Like Zaina gave her ultimatum to JR. They've been dating for 3 years. I still think that's early, to be honest with you. So apparently she told him he is the first guy to make her orgasm. I don't know why this man thought the need to share that with us. Like, we really did not need to know that. He could have kept that shit to himself. Do you know what I mean? So I think he just wants people to know about his sexual prowess. And I say, but I found it hella freaking weird. So basically, she's in her 30s and she's at the point where now she wants to be serious, to settle down. She wants the whole 9 yards. JR's already been through a failed marriage, basically. So it's his reason that he doesn't want to jump headlong into something again that may have all-reaching consequences. But again, I'm just like, have these people not had conversations about this shit? Like, seriously, have they not had conversations about this shit? So JR talks about the fact that, there was infidelity within the marriage, but he wasn't clear on who was doing the infidelity part. He was not clear on that part at all. He just said there was, cheating within the marriage. So basically, Zaina says that she will walk away if she doesn't necessarily get what she wants. I just find this whole concept weird. I really do. I find it weird. So we go to Nick, who gave Sandy the ultimatum, basically. They've been dating for 2.5 years, which I say is still relatively early. He's ready to settle down, but Sandy's not at that same speed. Basically, she talks about drunk calling is a compliment. I was like, okay, Sandy, if you think so. That's a bit weird, but okay. So Sandy, as Nick says, has an incredible maternal instincts, but that doesn't mean that she wishes to get married and have kids. At this point, just because she may have an incredible maternal instincts doesn't mean that she's going to be good to her own kids, if and when you do have some. I don't understand why sometimes men do that, where they equate maternal instincts to wanting children, or they will be good to their own children. I don't understand how they create that juxtapose in their mind, but hey ho, we'll see how this continues. So Sandy is basically saying she doesn't know if it's right for right now. And their version of fun is so different, because apparently Nick is 10 years older than Sandy, and Sandy's at a point where she's still living her best life, basically. So they're not running on that same time frame as him. And if she did settle down, let's just put it this way: Sandy, at the way she is now with this ultimatum, if she decided to give in and give Nick what it was that she wanted, resentment would set in. Ain't no way about it. Resentment would set in at a later date, where she would have felt that she'd missed out on quite a lot because of the fact that she needed to keep up with Nick and what it is that he wanted. So they're both on different ends of their spectrum, and apparently they've been fighting about it. So maybe this would be a good thing for them to actually see if they actually are meant to be together. I don't know. So Mariah, you see, gave the ultimatum to Caleb. Again, they've only been together for 2 years. I just don't understand why these people want marriage so much. Like, some of them ain't giving me the reasons as to why they want to join themselves to the person that they're with so much. It's like it's the be all and end all of their lives. Dave is already eyeing Mariah. And I was like, well, damn, Vanessa, your man has a wandering eye already, and that's only at the introductions, my gal. So it moves to Vanessa and Dave. They do not look like they would normally go together at all, but as I say, opposites attract. So Vanessa brings up the marriage and feels like that her and Dave cannot talk about it. Like, every time she brings it up, in and ahhing, or he doesn't necessarily want to be open and honest about discussing marriage. So she's basically brought him on this show with a man that doesn't really want to discuss marriage. Okay. Anyway, Dave does fill me with the fact that he doesn't seem to be taking Vanessa seriously at all. Vanessa is talking about that Dave doesn't want to commit. And I'm like, well, my gal, he already has his eye on Mariah already. I don't know why, when it's Mariah who's issued the ultimatum to Caleb, so Mariah actually wants to get married. So I don't know why he's found a fancy to her. I don't think he actually wants Vanessa. And he will use this show as an excuse to kind of move on without looking like a prick. That's how I'm seeing it. That's how I was seeing it at this point. He comes off as really unbothered and not forthcoming at all. Vanessa is there pouring her heart out to the table, and he just looks so unbothered. He doesn't comfort her. None of these people actually do. That I've noticed, when the women start to literally be upset and start crying in front of their face, like, you know, it's kind of like, oh, we've been in this situation time and again, so I can't be arsed with it. They don't offer them no type of comfort, no nothing. And I'm just like, how have you like been together for so long? Like, seriously? So we see Aria and Scotty, who have been together for 3 years, and it's Scotty who gave the ultimatum to Aria. Aria basically says that she wants to marry him, but just thinks that now is not the best time. So again, I would say, why are you here? Why are you here? Aria speaks on doing things in terms of because a man wants her to do it, and this is what she experienced with her parents. So basically what she'd also experienced is the fact that her mum had acquiesced so much that she ended up resenting her father, and they're no longer together anymore, and she doesn't want to rush into that. She doesn't want to be put in that position, which I understand at the end of the day. So Aria's more of what she grew up learning was a people pleaser, or she needs to be careful that she's not manipulated into a situation that she doesn't really want to be a part of. So for her, it's going to be all about self-awareness at the end of the day, and that's probably why it feeds into her decision as to why she's saying she don't want to get married right now. She really does not feel that need to get married right now. She doesn't want to rush into a situation that she is not sure of. So Scotty said that he will be gone if Aria doesn't commit in the way that he wants. Then Vanessa goes into her soliloquy. Vanessa Lachey, this is, of how she issued an ultimatum to Nick Lachey. I mean, we hear it every rotted season. Doesn't get any different. Doesn't get any older. At the end of the day, yes, it worked for her in regards to giving Nick an ultimatum after 5 years of being together. I mean, that was a long time. And yes, they did split up, and yes, they ended up going back together, and yes, he did end up asking her to marry him. That's not going to work for everybody. That's not going to work for everybody at the end of the day. So I just think that Vanessa Lachey overshares. Like, no one really needed to know that them two had an argument before they came to that table that night. No one needed to know that before coming to the meet and greet at the end of the day. Nick, I find, always literally just ignores some of the shit that she says and carries on talking over her. Like, seriously. And then she will look at him like, you know, oh, yes, I did say that. I'm just like, oh God, I don't know why they keep putting these two on the pedestal in terms of being the host for Love is Blind and being the host for this show, because Jesus wept. Anyway, so as we know, it's the last night with couples. They then break up, become exes, they then date, then they have to come back for the choice, they move in for a 3-week trial marriage, and then they do it with their partners. So this time around, yeah, they've actually provided the rings that they'll propose to them to, so each of them got to choose their own little ring. And I thought, well damn, that's more pressure you've put on these people. Like, really? Caleb says to Mariah, like, whispers to her, it's not too late to turn back now, and she says no. All I'm going to say is all of these people will reap what they sow. Nothing good will come of it, except maybe your relationship were not great to begin with, and this will just put a spotlight on it. So Sandy, we already see, is eyeing up JR. And I've just thought to myself, at this point, yeah, that's Dave eyeing up Mariah, Sandy eyeing up JR. And at this point, I just thought, you people need to start putting in ground rules. Like, seriously, I'm telling you, this show gives space for cheating. Like, seriously, it does. They don't give a shit. The disrespect is high on this show. Let's just put it this way. So, all I'm going to say is, I don't understand why they keep saying that they're exes. I mean, these are the people that they walked in with, as I've already explained. You've been together for some years. You've pledged your love to this person. You want to marry this person. There has to be an expected loyalty and loyalty and what's the word? Respect somewhere. There has to be. Like, really. So you see Vanessa and Dave. And Dave feels like everybody that's receiving the ultimatum believes that they're in trouble. And he doesn't really believe that Vanessa gave a good reason for her ultimatum. And I'm like, again, these people ain't been together for that long, to be honest with you. Dave feels committed to Vanessa, but she says, but you get scared at the sound of marriage. So my thing is, if he's committed, why does she need marriage still? Like, seriously, why does she need that? So Dave is kind of semantic about what Vanessa says, and he likes to question her too many freaking times about things they've probably had the conversation about. She's probably answered the bloody questions too that he keeps on asking, but he still wants to hear them all the again, like he needs to be convinced as to why they need to get married. Yeah, this man is not showing that he wants Vanessa in the slightest, and I'm thinking at this point, my love, maybe you're just flogging a dead horse with him, like, seriously. So Dave brings up the possibility of him connecting more with someone in the dating week. So he's kind of, the way he worded it made it seem as though he was making it Vanessa's fault if that happened at the end of the day, because she brought him to this show. And I said, this is what this show does. This show tries to exonerate people's bad behaviour because it's in the title of the ultimatum, marry or move on, knowing full well you are going to couple off with other people within that. So it's the perfect freaking wife swapping scenario at the end of the day for these people. So I think Vanessa needs to really work in this experiment to literally feel if there's going to be something better for her besides this man. Like, really. Dave is already giving vibes of a track star. He ain't there for the long term at the end of the day. So Dave has the cheek to actually tell Vanessa he likes Mariah. And Vanessa basically points out to him that Mariah is 24 years old. So literally she's quite young and you're 34. Which ain't that young. But Dave is acting hella weird about it. But I don't think he realises that Mariah wants to get married the same way Vanessa does. So how he's speaking about Mariah and that scenario is actually quite telling, to be honest with you. So then we see Chanel and Micah. And it was Chanel who gave the ultimatum to Micah. So Chanel talks about how the Lachey's broke up and that's what that brought them back together. And she believes that if they break up now, it's going to make them even stronger as a couple. And I'm like, look, it will work in their situation, but I think people are just clinging right now to whatever excuses that they can give at the end of the day. So Micah is asking her, like, how are you ready to be my wife? And I'm like, well, she must freaking have an idea on what type of wife she would be if she's issued you an ultimatum and she wants to get married. She's already probably showing you as a girlfriend exactly what type of wife she would be if she's been there in your hours of need and X, Y, and Z. And the fact that you label her the fuck wife or wifey anyway. So how does that change anything? Chanel gets upset by this because she believes that, you know, he is questioning her way too much. He talks about then how he was there for her as well and gives the example of her working for Uber Eats and the fact that he would leave his work to come out with her to help her out. And I'm like, my dude, is that the only example that you can give that you've been there for Chanel? Because that's a piss poor one if I ever said anything. So Micah then brings up about her like starting her career in marketing and how she would feel getting married and then they have kids and she will then have to take a back seat from that for a while. And I'm just like, do you know what, these conversations again are jarring, because at the end of the day, Even if you got married, doesn't mean you're going to have children straight away. You would have those conversations on when, in terms of when you're both ready to have children straight away. It could be a conversation on possibly having a long engagement, but you have made that commitment to her that in time you will get married to her, but you have a long engagement so she can get to where it is that she needs to be in terms of her career, or maybe possibly the dad supporting more in that avenue. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to always be the woman that gives up everything that she needs to give up in order to take care of the children. It's a two-way motherfucking street in my books. It doesn't have to be a linear responsibility. Yeah, Micah turns around and he says that he's not ready at all. I don't even think he's even close to being ready. He wants all of it, but he believes that it's not the right time right now. And I'm just like, well, when would be the right time? That's my question to all of them. When they all keep saying, oh, it's not the right time right now. It's not the right time for this. It's not. When is the right time? Like, seriously? So Chanel gets upset. This girl starts blotting, and this man does not look bothered by her tears in the slightest. He just looks at her as if to say, we've been through this so many times, and he appears unfazed. That's how I can only describe it to you. Like, he just turns around while she's crying and says, I just want us to be ready. And I'm kind of like, well, Chanel's already there, my friend. It's you that has to play catch up. So Micah asks, like, if he's not able to give her the answer that she's looking for at the end of all of this, Chanel basically pointed back and looked at him and said that she would leave. I mean, to me, it didn't very much look convincing. And I'm kind of like, these people will say that they will leave and then they don't leave at the end of the day. Majority of them would stay together at the end, even without an engagement ring, because they've been with this person for far too long. And to restart everything all over again is just going to be freaking long, unless you can get someone that you're restarting with to be on the same page as you quite quickly. So Micah actually looked worried about that and turned around and says, well, I don't like this. And I'm like, well, mate, at the end of the day, it's what you signed up for. It's what you signed up for. Me, I don't think this show is about fostering healthy relationships. It's more like, let's heap so much pressure on these people to make them say yes or to make them say no, or to literally watch a relationship literally burn to the ground. That's all I can say. So then we see Sandy and Nick. Now, for me, them two just kept on cracking jokes basically about being exes and not texting each other. I ain't seen none of these people so far where they're all talking put down any ground rules of what would be acceptable once they get to know these other people or have a trial marriage and what isn't. Like, they're all gung-ho about meeting new people, and there's not one bit of the ground rules put in place. Sandy basically says that she has hesitations in regards to wanting to marry Nick. He turns around and he basically says that he loves her fire, but he doesn't want it directed against him. So he talks about her doing activities in order to get rid of her aggression. Look at some hobby. I was like, raw. I don't know what Nick is trying to indicate, but that does not sound good. Throughout this whole exchange, I just got the feeling that Sandy just comes off a little bit immature. But Nick does kind of feed into that side of her too. So then we see Aria and Scotty. Scotty basically was talking about how he didn't necessarily want to go down this route, but there are nuances within their relationship they have to get to grips of. Aria says that they're not technically always on the same page, and Scotty is not happy with them living so far apart from each other. He wants moments of compromise with another person if he gets to meet them, and that he and Aria have difficulties in compromising with each other, and that he talks about, that him and Aria are not having an emotional connection with each other because of the fact that he doesn't see her all the time. Now, my thing is when it comes to long distance relationships, you have to work that bit harder in order to maintain the status quo with each other. So he would have to give in a certain amount and she would have to give in a certain amount in order to keep that emotional connection going. If he's feeling that he's not getting what he needs from her, then he needs to voice that and have those conversations with her. But it doesn't seem like he does voice that. He's voicing it now because he's talking about what he wants from the other person within his trial marriage basically. So he's literally talking about what he's looking for in other women. when he goes on dates with others. Like, Arya's not even there. Like, he's talking to a friend at the end of the day, not a girlfriend at all. Arya doesn't look like she's upset by what he's saying, and to me, their dynamic just came off as odd. It's just the way that they interacted with each other throughout it. So you see a bit of Mariah and Caleb. He's basically not cool with it all, and you can hear him in it as well. I think some of these people really don't see reality of what they're doing, as Mariah thinks that they'll be better for this experience. And I would say not necessarily so, my girl. Not necessarily so. Caleb thinks about the future issues of rushing into things when they are so young, and what he wants to do. He feels like Mariah's constantly putting things in place, like, this is what I want to do here, this is what I want to do here, this is what I want to do here, and life doesn't necessarily work like that. Mariah talks about how it's going to be weird thinking of Caleb as an ex. But I was like, but he ain't your ex, really. To be fair, he's not your ex. I think Mariah was kind of trying to convince herself that she's doing the right thing, as I don't think Caleb thinks that they are. So then we see Zaina and JR. Zaina is ready. She ready. Like, this girl was cracking jokes like no one's business, to the point where she was trying to ask JR to come and help her pick out her dating outfit. I thought, what the fuck is wrong with you? JR does speak about his feelings in regards to how he would feel in terms of watching her speak to other people and giving the energy that he gives to her back to them. Yeah, she don't give him no reassurance at all. Like, not a bean. This, as I said, this girl is ready. She ready to play the field. Oh God! So Zaina really did turn around and said that she'd blocked JR on her I don't know if it's her phone or whatnot, so he can't reach out to her. I'm telling you, this is the prime opportunity for people to step out on their full-time relationship. This is what this was. So then we got to the speed dating time. Dave and Sandy didn't look good at all, man. Like, they were not gelling when we saw them talk. Dave says that he's a smooth dater, but the way in which he interacted with Sandy was piss poor, if you ask me, at the end of the day. So Arya also finds JR attractive, and I thought, well, my girl, you better get in there first before Sandy. I wanted to believe that JR has a type, judging by his pick of Zaina, so I thought he may go for Arya. Zaina says she wants someone who is 100% about her, and I'm questioning, what does that mean? But what does that mean? She has said that she wants that from JR, and I kind of think that she gets that from JR, but he just doesn't want to rush into marriage, basically. So I just think someone can be married and still not give you 100% into that person. Marriage doesn't make a person do what it is that you think it does. So I don't understand what Zaina's talking about. So you see Zaina talk to Micah. Not for her, she ruled him out. Dave is not for her, basically. She wants a man who wants to get married. But then my thought is, well, why are you going to all the men who were issued the ultimatums to? How does that make sense at all? She does go to Caleb and have a chance with have a talk with him, and that wasn't going anywhere at all. And I'm just thought, well, why don't you just go to Scotty and Nick? Because they're the only men in there that have issued an ultimatum to their women at the end of the day. Zaina is treating this like a full-on game hunt. Let me just put it that way. For me, she is not seeking to get to know anyone. I think for her, it's just about getting married. It really is just about getting married and her need to be married due to her age and nothing else in that sense. Because even in a relationship, not everybody can give you 100% focus, because that's absolutely freaking weird at the end of the day. So you see Chanel and Dave having a talk, basically. So she seems to like Dave. They do laugh a lot and they're open with each other in the date process, and she seems to think that Dave is sweet. I think Dave kind of has a penchant for young women in this experiment. He probably thinks he doesn't have to work too hard to impress them. Dave don't want Vanessa. I really don't see him wanting Vanessa. He's just waiting for something better to come along, because that's the impression that he's given me at the end of the day. You can see all of the exes, I shall say, for the purpose of this bloody experiment, yeah, are looking at each of their partners and who they're talking to, and it's like feeling kind of weird for them. You can see them like stalking, hawking them each time. So Arya speaks to Dave, and again he waxes poetic about being vulnerable, and he says he's secure about his insecurities, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, seriously, how the hell does that make sense? This man is just totally coming off as superficial in all of the conversations that I've seen him have so far, as he can't even communicate with Vanessa about why marriage is not for him yet. He can't even communicate in regards to the realms of marriage at the end of the day. So Dave is basically interested in Arya. So he talks about how doing acts of service, but when he's doing those acts of service, like getting a cup of coffee, the coffee order for Vanessa, and he sees that look of, oh, thank you, you know, I'm just like, he's not doing acts of service out of the kindness of his heart then. He's doing it because he likes the feeling he gets when he did something right and he gets that little pat on the back. That's what he's doing it for. At that point, I was like, someone can't get there, man. Dave is just giving off vibes that, like, you know, that Zaina is giving off. I want a man desperately vibes. Yeah, nah. So Dave basically says that he's connected with Arya and he's comfortable with her. Okay, I thought, because at the first instance he says he wanted Mariah at the table, but we'll see what happens there. So Vanessa is talking to Nick. So Nick is 38 and basically Vanessa is intrigued by him. You do see the clip show Dave get a little bit iffy by their conversation basically. So now his insecurities are coming out to the forefront, and I'm like, mate, weren't you just talking to Arya and getting into her too? So now Vanessa is doing it, you don't like it. I just can't with these people sometimes. So Nick basically does like Vanessa too, and he sees that she's someone that he could have fun with. So Sandy now gets her prize in getting to know JR. Surprisingly, their chatter is very flirty. Like, the conversation at first was nothing to write home about, as it was generally just surface level, and they were going on looks by each other. Sandy started touching his arm already, giving him physical contact. JR then turned the talk chatter to sex, and when it comes to Scorpios being the first on his list, because he's not dated or had sex with a Scorpio woman before, I was kind of like, who's Zaina at this point and who's Nick at this point at the end of the day? So JR feels him and Sandy have some chemistry, but it was Arya, he's saying, who caught his eye when she first walked in. And I thought, okay, is she your type though? So with his chat with Arya, he basically went a little bit more deeper. He talks about his dad being a pastor, how he ended up getting married at 16 years old, and then he was divorced by his 20s. And I was like, that's a lot for someone so young at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So I don't understand how someone would allow children to get married at 16, because that's what they are to me. They're still children in my eyes, even though they're teenagers and know their own mind. Do you know what I mean? But you don't have a full understanding of what marriage is supposed to be, or the merits of marriage that young. I would say it might be different for everybody else, but that's what I would say. So JR is basically talking about how he is one of 7 children, and Arya talks about that she's one of 8 children. So they'll have shared experiences on that too. So you see Arya talk to Caleb, and he basically shares that he doesn't know why he's holding back from Mariah. And I'm gonna have to say it may be something to do with Mariah, in that she's so set on getting married and what it will look like. She talks about wanting to experience love, and I'm like, what can marriage give in that department that a relationship can't? What are you not getting from Caleb that you think a marriage will fulfill you with, is my question at the end of the day. So Mariah is talking to Dave, and she's talking about how she doesn't want to do the casual dating thing anymore. She doesn't feel stable, and so that's what marriage is for her. doesn't seem like Dave wants Mariah after that talk, and I think he wants Aria, but will Aria pick him or JR at the end of the day? So you see Zaina actually go and speak to Scotty. So she basically says that she thinks it's attractive that Scotty made the ultimatum. You see, for Zaina, for me, is in love with the idea of marriage, as Mariah is at the end of the day. They have attached this importance to it in different ways, which I don't think it will work out for them at all. So Scotty talks about how he grew up in a 2-parent household and has examples of a healthy relationship, but that doesn't mean what works for them will work for him and Aria. Zaina really seems to like Scotty, and let me tell you, that does come out in this episode. That's all I can say. So Scotty says Zaina epitomizes, I should say, the word wifey material. I mean, I don't know how we got that impression, but like, okay. So now it's cocktail party time. So they're all setting out to be impressed. So JR talks about the scent that he usually wears, in which to spray like behind his neck if a woman goes in for a hug. This man sprayed his balls and his behind over his trousers, and I was thinking, what do you fucking think's gonna happen at this cocktail party at the end of the day? Who's gonna be sniffing balls and ass? Why you spray yourself down there for? It didn't make no one little sense for me. So Zaina and Chanel do have a little chat with their exes. They do greet them when they go in. So now someone decides, let's play a game called Quarters. I was like, oh Jesus, wet. Putting a game in a lot of adults, will never bode well. Like, seriously, will never bode well. So basically what Quarters is a person will turn and whisper a question to anyone in the circle. That will then flip a coin. If that coin lands on heads, then that person who flipped the coin has to read out the question they got asked and bloody well answer the question. So Vanessa whispers to Aria first. So we know Aria flipped her head. So Aria says she was asked who was the person I had the least chemistry with. I already had an idea of who she was going to say, and she did say it. She said it was Dave, and I was like, I knew it. Dave was shocked as hell. He said, ouch. That man really thought he and Aria had chemistry. Oh, says no friend. In the UK, that's what we call banter. Used to have good banter. You didn't have the chemistry, then you had good banter at the end of the day. So Nick asked Caleb a question, and that question was, who would he spend the night with? Caleb said Aria. I was like, oh, okay, because I didn't get that impression at all. I don't think Mariah liked that answer in the slightest, but I'm like, it's a game at the end of the day. This is what you people have signed up for, and you people are literally sitting there deciding to be truthful with your answers. So let's see what carries on. So Chanel asked JR, which one of the guys would you not want to date your ex? I mean, we really didn't need the flip of the coin for that one, because at the end of the day, we actually heard every word that she freaking said. So this game is literally making people's asses itch. So JR pointed to Nick and said, this guy. And this is where it turned a little bit ugly. So one of the guys says, oh, you mean Nick? And JR says, no, I know his name. I was just joking. I was like, well, damn. Some of that old jealousy came flying right out of that dude's mouth right there, and then turned an already tense situation into something else, let me tell ya. So then Sandy was thinking that basically it was part of a compliment and an insult, and then Nick jumped in and said, of course it's a compliment, what are you talking about? I says, right, when you put it like that, Nick, you just literally threw what Sandy was saying back in her face and said, now you saw that shit as a compliment. Okay. So Micah whispers to Sandy, who do you want to go on a second date with? Now at this point I'm believing this coin is fixed, because everybody seems to be getting motherfucking heads at this point in time. So at first I knew that Sandy was going to say JR. We all knew she was going to say JR at the end of the day. It's the fact that JR went, yes, hell yeah, shook a celebratory fist. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, my dude? You know you see your woman sitting over there. Now, when a girl takes a drink and she gives that pinched eye look, you know she's mad. She ain't liking what she's seeing or hearing in terms of this gal and her man at the end of the day. But I mean, she was popping jokes when man tried to get serious with her at the beginning. But he did give the impression he wouldn't really be looking at anyone the way that she was trying to indicate it to be. But now man over here like, hey baby, fuck it. It's just an absolute madness. This show's always been mad though. So Vanessa whispers to Nick, and Nick ends up getting tails. So Vanessa had to say the question that she asked Nick, basically she said it to the VC, not to the group, who he was most intimidated by. He actually did turn around and answer that, and he said Vanessa, and I was like, I don't see how, but okay. Vanessa basically was saying that she actually feels a genuine chemistry and connection with Nick, and you do see them chatting on the chair together. And I'm just like, I can see in the first instances, because don't forget at this point you've only known this person a day, so I can see in these first instances, yeah, that you could have chemistry with someone straight off the bat, because it will go by looks and then how you talk to each other. But a connection for me, I think, would take a little longer. Because technically in this game, as soon as you live with this person, you will probably see a completely different side to them, which may make you change your view of things at the end of the day. So I don't know how you can have a genuine connection just from one day. Like seriously, Dave, you saw, was not liking this budding relationship between Vanessa and Nick. Oh my god, he literally goes across the room to sit on his own to watch them having this talk. I don't know if he can overhear what the fuck it is that they're saying, because Nick is literally saying he had the physicality on lock with Vanessa when all he wanted to say to her, let's go, do you know what I mean? So we have Dave, it looks like, beginning to have second thoughts. But wasn't it at the beginning of this he was trying to say to Vanessa that he could really get on with someone else and find chemistry with them, yeah, which would cause them to not have to be with each other in that sense. So as Dave was talking about himself, he did not believe that it would happen for Vanessa at the end of the day. He didn't factor in that, how about if Vanessa found someone attractive and someone found her attractive, what would you do in that scenario? So Dave decides that he's going to butt into their conversation. He wants to go and have a chat with Vanessa. Basically, this man is gone over there to put his full-on insecurities about how he's feeling about watching Vanessa get on with someone else onto her, yeah. So he is trying to get into her head about... He's standing there thinking like he knows where he's at with all of this. Does he really need 3 more weeks? Dave is trying to manipulate the situation with Vanessa into getting her to leave with him, because that's how it's coming across for me. I was like, oh, poor Dave. He was so gung-ho in the beginning, wasn't he? Now he wants to rain piss all over Vanessa's parade because someone else has found her interesting and she them. I was like, at this point, my guy, you need to grow a pair of cojones. Like, seriously, pull your 5 big girl panties up and get on with it at the end of the day. So Vanessa does turn around and says no. What he's saying don't justify them having an early exit, basically. So she shut Dave down. So as Dave then goes and walks off somewhere else, she decides to move from where it is that she was to go and chat to Nick somewhere else. Dave was trying, I think, to get into Vanessa's head. Like, he really was. He was trying to proverbially cock block this girl from actually fulfilling the brief of the show at the end of the day. He don't like the fact that he may not have formed anything with anyone. He don't like the fact that he actually got shut down by Arya because Arya felt that there was no chemistry between them, even though he did. Now you see, now he's having to sit there and see that actually your gal is being liked by somebody else and she likes him too. Yeah. So basically you see Sandy and JR sitting down having a conversation, and she talks about the things that she doesn't necessarily like in Nick or is lacking in Nick, and she talks about that Nick is in his own world and his head is in the clouds. And I thought, okay, he's an artist, but go on. Then she says it's the simple things. Basically, he doesn't even ask her how her day was. And I'm like, if that's the truth, that's kind of piss poor on freaking Nick's part at the end of the day, that you want to marry this girl, but you can't fulfill a basic need for her to be noticed in that sense. JR, you see, is getting very hella friendly with Sandy, and she ain't pushing him away. He's stroking Sandy's arm like they've been together. Let's just put it this way. So she asks him the same question in terms of what is it he's feeling he's not getting. And he talks about jealousy and the fact that across his social media, a lot of women follow him or they make comment on his posts. I'm thinking there's more to that with JR. And I don't think he's being fully open and honest in regards to his portrayal of that, to be honest with you, because the jealousy has to come from somewhere. You do see JR go a little bit deeper with Sandy about his life in terms of like being homeless when he was younger and missing out of school, and that's what's given him the driving force to do so well now. So you do see Zaina looking on fully, especially as JR and bloody Sandy get to the freaking calf talk again, because apparently Sandy's got excellent calf muscles and they're quite big, right? So this man literally asked Sandy if he could get closer to her. I'm like, mate, if you get any closer, you'll be sitting on a rotted lap. Let's just put it this way. Then he ends up putting his arm around her like them two are together, so I was like, okay, not being too disrespectful there then. Can they be any more obvious? And it's the same for Sandy too. There's fully, like, with these people, respect has gone fully out of rotted window right about now. So JR calls Sandy basically a wild child, and he compares like Sandy to Zaina, and he feels that with Sandy that there would be passionate sex basically, and he was talking about how there'd be trouble all around us. Isn't that JR? The only trouble right now is you. You're about to cause something with your behaviour right now. But to be fair, Sandy and JR are both leading each other off this cliff. So you see Zaina and Nick not necessarily liking the development that's happening, but does Sandy care? No, she don't care at all. Nick cares, but tries to act all blasé when Vanessa asks him how he feels about, like, you know, Sandy and JR getting so close. He has the temerity to turn around to Vanessa and say to her, why do you have to make a point on it? And I'm like, dudes, you were standing there next to Vanessa with a sour look on your face, and you had not looked away from Sandy and JR for a minute, man. Like, seriously, if that look could cut ice, that ice would be melted to a nub. Let's just put it that way. So it stands to reason why Vanessa would actually bring it up, because she saw the look that she was giving them. So Zaina and Scotty are not sitting too far away from Aria and Caleb. Scotty talks about how he doesn't have a woman who knows what she wants. Sometimes I think you shouldn't shed too much light on your relationships that you've had with these people for X amount of years at the end of the day. Because if you are unhappy, then why are you still there? Because there must be something holding you there to that person, or is it just of convenience at the end of the day? So Zaina basically talks about how she's feeling Scotty. And then as they get up, don't forget Aria and Caleb are sitting right there. So as they get up, he's walking past her and has the cheek to grab this girl's hand as he's walking past her, spitting distance in front of Aria, which I found highly disrespectful. I was like, what is wrong with these people? Aria walks away from Caleb, sobbing her heart out. Like, that literally hit her to her core. Scotty didn't even notice the fact that Aria got so hurt by that and walked past to go to the toilet, and he has the cheek to literally still there continuing to chat up and flirt with Zaina. I thought, yeah, I thought Scotty's wrong for that one fully. So you see Caleb does go after Aria and go in and say, do you want a hug? And he gives her a hug. Aria's absolutely devastated by what just happened. Each time you go back to Scotty, he's standing there putting down Aria to Zaina, and I thought, that's not nice. I mean, if this is what he was going to do to her, then he should not have come to this show. He shouldn't have brought her to this show at the end of the day. He don't really want to marry Aria at the end of the day. I think all he wants to do is punish her for not wanting to be ready to move to the next steps with him. After a man has shown this much disregard and disrespect to my damn face while we're there, we will be done. Show or no show, be damned. We would be absolutely done. So as Scott is then sitting there in his full-on disrespectfulness, asking Zaina to be his child wife, Arya makes the move to separate them, because, which I think was right and just at the end of the day. She needed to tell Scotty exactly how disrespectful his behaviour was to her at that point. So Zaina's sitting there looking at Arya like, what do you mean I have to move? And I'm like, girl, chop chop, move your ass. This ain't no playing game. You can see this girl has already cried tears because her eyes are red and she's got the tissue still dabbing her eyes. This man ain't yours yet. Move your ass. So she does. So when Arya pulls Scotty up and they're holding hands with Zaina in front of her, he tries to deny it. He literally tries to deny it. And I'm like, mate, it's on camera. Don't gaslight her. We saw him do it. And Arya was right there when he walked past. She told him, if you have to do things physically with this person that you're interested in, then do it away from me. This man tried to say that he never disrespected her. And mate, you did. So now this man has the cheek to flip it on her after Arya brought up JR. As the one thing I'll say with Arya is she shouldn't have thrown JR in this man's face, because now he's going to use this as a tool to divert the conversation to her and make it all about Arya and blame her for the situation that they're in at the end of the day. But Scotty should have taken responsibility for how he made Arya feel in that moment, but he won't do it. This man actually started yelling at Arya. Arya had to say to him, why are you yelling for? Stop yelling at me for. He turned around and had the cheek to tell Arya that she was coming at him foul when he's the one that disrespected her in her face. I said, yeah, Scotty, you're full of shit. Arya says, basically, after that whole situation where she was like, do you know what, I'm done, I can't do this no more, and she went to walk off, he tried to call her back. That man gaslit this girl's backside from here to Timbuktu. He lit a match right in front of her face and told her, oh no, there's no flame in your face, if you touch it you won't get burnt. So Arya talks in her VC and says that she feels gaslit. I thought, no, there's no feel about it, my love. Arya was gaslit. He was disgusting. Scotty's attitude was disgusting. His whole attitude was nasty. And because Arya deigned to pull him up on the bullshit that he just did in front of her face, yeah, which he had a right to do, he made it about her and what she supposedly did wrong when she'd done nothing wrong at all. All she needed from him was I hear where you're coming from and I apologise, and man couldn't even do that. And then he wants to sit there face favour like she's done me a wrong. Bullshit. That's all I can say. Bullshit. Anyway, that is where that episode ended. I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my renegades, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I am on the road to 1k, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Peace out.